And whenever you can be more pensive and wistful in Celtic music, you should. Hey fiddlers, welcome to today's fiddle video. Today we are going to be talking about 3 relatively easy variation ideas for your fiddle tunes. Sometimes variations can seem a little intimidating, sort of like something I'll get to later on when I'm a more advanced fiddler. But there are some pretty simple ones that you can start to try out even if you're at a beginner or more early intermediate level. I'll walk you through each one of them, and we're going to be using a tune called The Boys of Blue Hill, which is a traditional Irish hornpipe, to demonstrate these ideas. I also did a video where I taught that tune, so if you'd like to learn it, you can find a link in the description. You'll also find a link there for sheet music for this tune, played with all 3 of the different variation ideas that we're going to talk about today. All right, let's go ahead and learn some variations. All right, so the first variation we're going to try is actually just subtracting notes from the tune. We might think of variations as being complex, but actually sometimes they can be less complex than the regular tune. So for example, let's take a tune like The Boys of Blue Hill, which might normally sound like this. Here's what it might sound like if you just took out some notes and elongated some of the other notes. So here's what we're doing there. So in the first phrase, instead of going, we're going to skip the pickup notes at the beginning of each part of the phrase, and here's what I mean by that. Instead of going, we're just gonna start right on the downbeat, skipping those pickup notes before the downbeat. We're just gonna go. Same thing with the next part of the phrase. Instead of, we're going, starting right on the downbeat. We're also going to skip the pickup notes into the next phrase, and so that allows us to hang out on some of those longer notes because we're not jumping right into pickup notes. Gives it kind of a nice pensive feel. And whenever you can be more pensive and wistful in Celtic music, you should. Okay, so in the next phrase, normally it would sound like this. But as I mentioned, we are going to skip those first 2 pickup notes in that phrase. And from there, we're going to kind of hold on to and elongate some of the downbeat notes. So instead of, we're just going to hold that first finger note, really quickly go to that 3rd finger, just kind of as an homage to the shape of the normal melody. And then instead of going, we're going to hold that first note, that open E, and then just jump back into the normal tune when it gets to the first finger to the open string. So instead of, we just have, and then we go on. So our whole second phrase is just kind of savoring some of those downbeat notes. Then we've got the same thing as the first phrase. And then the 4th phrase is almost the same as the 2nd phrase, but we are going to change it up just a smidge. We're going to go. So the beginning is the same. Then here, instead of going, we're just going to go. So again, holding that downbeat note till the last second and then adding the first finger. And then instead of, we're just going to simplify it to, again, just holding that downbeat note a little longer and taking out a note. So there we have it. That is variation option number 1, which is just take out notes and elongate notes. A good thing to remember when you're doing this is just to follow the shape of the melody. You can kind of get a sense of sort of what the basic idea of the melody is, and then play notes that sort of honor the shape of that tune, but still just simplify it a little bit. Okay, so on to variation option number 2, which is open string double stops. Here's what the A part of Boys of Blue Hill might sound like with some open string double stops. So here is what we're doing there. Many fiddle tunes are written in a key that has a lot of good open string double stop options. The Boys of Blue Hill is in D major, which is a very common fiddle tune key, one of my favorites. And one of the nice things about D major is that throughout the tune, chances are if you play an open D double stop or an open A double stop, it's gonna sound good. Sometimes it might not, but often it probably will. The D is the first note of the D major scale, and the A is the 5th note of the D major scale. And that 1 and 5 note, those are just often gonna sound nice along with the rest of the melody. Same thing goes if a tune is in G major. The G and the D are both notes that, if you play them along with the melody, chances are they'll sound pretty good. And if your tune's in A, the A and the E are generally good bets. So for example, in the Boys of Blue Hill, when we're playing those first few notes, those are on the A string, so we have the open D below available to play a double stop. Then you can keep on doing that as the phrase goes on. Now we're on the E string for a few notes. And right here you could put an open A below the melody. Then we can go and then do an open D below here. Same idea here, playing on the A string with the open D below. Now on the E string, playing the open A below. And then the open D at the end. For extra credit, if you want to, you can add the open strings above the melody. So for example, if you're playing on the D string in D major, you could play the open A above that. It's a little trickier than playing an open string below the melody, but it's an option. Just note you could also combine variation options number 1 and 2, simplifying the melody and adding double stops, and that can sound pretty nice too. Variation option number 3, we are going to try taking the tune down an octave. Or you could take the tune up an octave if you want. In this tune, down an octave is a little easier. Let's say you have a tune or part of a tune that is mostly played on the 2 lowest strings or the 2 highest strings of the fiddle. If part of the tune is mostly played on those lower strings, it probably means you have room to go up an entire octave and play the whole melody higher up. And vice versa, if you're playing the melody mostly on these higher strings, chances are you have the room to go down an octave and play it lower. Here's what I mean by that. The first half of the B part of Boys of Blue Hill is entirely on the A and E strings. So notice the first half is higher up, and then we get back down to the D string. But let's say we wanted to play that first half down an octave. Here's what that would sound like. Here's what's happening there. So we know the B part melody starts here on an F sharp, your first finger on the E string. So what we need to do is find the F sharp that's 1 octave lower. So 8 notes in the scale lower than that F sharp. So we just count down, counting that first note as 1. Then we go to E, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's where our lower octave melody will start. From there, we're just playing the exact same melody that we played up here, but we're playing it down here, starting with the second finger on the D string. So the fingerings will be different, but the melody itself is pretty much the same. The intervals, whether it's half steps, whole steps, thirds, are all the same. But once we get to that part of the melody, we realize we have to go back to the normal octave for the tune because we're gonna run out of notes otherwise. That's where the regular melody would go. And if we try to do that down here, we don't have that note. So that's where we can shift the melody back up to the normal octave. Alright fiddlers, that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you'd like a video tutorial for the tune that I used to demonstrate these ideas today, it's called The Boys of Blue Hill, and you'll find a link for that in the description. Plus, you'll find a link there for sheet music that uses all 3 of these variation ideas that we talked about today, applying them to The Boys of Blue Hill. Have a wonderful day, happy fiddling, and I'll see you soon.